Scottish election came and it has been won. The SNP able to gather 64 seats, followed closely by the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, and then the Greens and the Lib Dem. Alba Party couldn't make one seat. That's how the election has gone. And today we're having a by-election in Ede and Shots, which will soon be closing soon. But with all of this happening, people come from other countries to seek greener pastures in Scotland. How do they survive? How can they survive? With the challenges they face and everything, how? Which ways can they go? And this is why today our topic on the Nigerian Pride is surviving as an immigrant in Scotland. My name is Lion Olushokumbi, and you're welcome to the Nigerian Pride, coming to you from the stables of Diaspora Radio International. First, I would like to apologize for the delay. We had a serious technical issue in the studio today, but finally we've been able to resolve it. And our guest is also ready for us. And without wasting any time, I will go straight to our guest and we'll start. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Shokumbi.
Good evening, sir. Can you please just introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners back at home?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Wale Olabamiji. I am a solicitor of England and Wales, and I'm also a solicitor of Scotland. And also, I am a solicitor, barrister and solicitor in Nigeria. And by the grace of God, I am the principal solicitor of DMO Olabamiji Solicitors, based in Glasgow. And also, in addition to that, I am a pastor, and I'm the founder of Potter's House Prayer Ministry, also based in Glasgow here. I'm married, and I'm blessed with 3 children. I think that's more or less all about me.
Thank you very much for that introduction, sir. And so, viewers at home, listeners at home, you've heard it. You know who we're speaking to today. You can see he's a man with many feathers. You know, a barrister in England and Wales, also in Scotland, and also in Nigeria. And he's also a man of God, a father, a husband. So, sir, we'll start it with just to start with you personally. How did you get to Scotland? I mean, why Scotland? Why not England?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shokumbi. Well, I would say it's just by providence that I found myself in Scotland. I think in 2001, the communication sector in Nigeria was just emerging. And by that time, I've just finished from Nigerian law school. And some of my friends that we graduated together from Nigerian law school, who came to do masters here in Scotland, because at that time, Scotland was offering a kind of incentive to migrants to come over here to come and study in Scotland. And during that time, they were offering what is called fresh talents, whereby they give 2 years opportunities to graduate from Scotland universities to explore and find work and probably to stay here. So that's what attracted me at that time. And I have like 4 of my colleagues who we graduated together from law school at that time, and they were in Scotland. So some of them were studying masters in IT, in telecommunication law in Strathclyde Uni. You know, in those days, majority of us want to enter MTN, Econet. That was the name at that time. So that was how I found myself coming over to study masters, IT and telecom law in 2007. So I think it was just fresh talent that attracted me to Scotland then. And since then, I discovered I couldn't go back.
Oh, good. So you discovered you couldn't go back.
Yeah.
If we explore that more, what were the things that then made you not to go? Because I know you mentioned the likes of Econet, MTN, then back in Nigeria, motivating many then to look at what options they want to go for in their postgraduate study and come back. So what made you stay? What made you stay then?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shokunbi. Well, I discovered that Scotland is a virgin land to be explored. I discovered there are a majority of things that are present in England that are common, that you can easily find in England, that were not readily available, especially for the minority ethnic community in Scotland. So, and I believe I can make impact. And as a matter of fact, basically that's what made me to stay, that, this is a virgin land for me, that we can do a lot of things here in Scotland. Hello, Mr. Shokunbi.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, that's just what made me to stay back after my master's degree in 2007.
Okay, master's degree 2007, and then today you're an entrepreneur. You own your own, what we would call a law chambers in Nigeria. I don't know what name we call it here, but you own your own chambers.
No, we call it firm.
Okay, I love.
You are not 100% wrong when you introduce me as a barrister, but I used to correct people. Okay. I am a solicitor in Nigeria, but I'm a solicitor here.
Yeah.
And in England, there is difference between being a barrister and being a solicitor. We combine it together in Nigeria, but here is a separate ball game entirely. I'm a solicitor here in Scotland.
So if I can quickly explore that then, so can you just tell us the differences? I know so many people are listening, they will want to know the difference between being a solicitor and being a barrister.
Barrister, yeah. The difference is just that barristers have higher rights of audience before appellate court, before court like Court of Appeal and Supreme Court.
Right.
Barristers are those, if they have excelled of their practice for so long and due to their expertise in their field, they can become what they call Queen's Counsel, which is the equivalent of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Solicitors cannot do that. We only deal with paperwork, and the highest we can go is High Court.
Okay.
The reason why a lot of people prefer to become a barrister, prefer to become solicitor in England and Wales instead of being barrister, is because barristers are self-employed people. People on the street cannot be their clients. their clients are solicitors. So people come to us solicitors. Then when a case reaches a situation whereby we have to go to court of session, for example, in Scotland, then we pass it on to barrister. But people on the street cannot approach barrister directly. Barristers are instructed by solicitors, while client instructs solicitors.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good to know that. That's part of the reason why we're here. So let's now come into the mix of things. What challenges did you face on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur that you are today as an immigrant in this country, and how did you overcome these challenges?
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Shokunbi. Yeah, I think there are a lot of challenges, but with determination, with God factor, and perseverance, and I will highlight few of them. The number one challenge is immigration problem itself. I could remember about 10 years ago, shortly during my master's program, I made a silly mistake and I lost immigration status. And at the point in this country, UKBA was looking for me at home to remove me from United Kingdom. So for like 2 years, my life was in shambles until by God's grace, I was able to, my immigration status was restored back and I benefited from post-study work permit after I finished my master's. So the number one ordeal is immigration status itself, because before you can become an entrepreneur, you have to, for instance, there are categories of visa that allows you to set up your own company, to do businesses formally. As a student, for example, if you're on tier 4, you can own a business. For example, if you are on certain category of visa, for instance, example is tier 5 charity worker, minister of religion, tier 2 general, you cannot start your own company or you can't start your own business I'm talking about formally documented by registering your own company or stuff like that, because those type of visas are limited to what you can do. So I think the number one challenge was moving on to a kind of a visa that will allow you to become an entrepreneur itself, which I couldn't do that until I got indefinite leave to remain in 2017. And immediately I got indefinite leave to remain, which allows me to own my own business, because I was previously sponsored by a law firm in Glasgow. So I couldn't start my own at that time. So immediately I was able to overcome that barrier with the help of God. Then I was able to start my law firm, having gathered enough experience in my field. Another challenge which one may face in starting a business is financial challenge also. And with the help of God, how I was able to go around that was I saved up some money and I got loan from bank again, because it cost me about 40,000 to be able to set up. So I got a loan from HSBC, £20,000 loan. I saved up like 20,000 myself, get an office, buy hardware and stuff like that. Because in the type of business that I am, I recognize one thing, that some of the people that I'm going to be assisting are legal aid people. And before I finish a work and legal aid pays me, it can take like a year or minimum of 6 months before you can be paid. So what am I going to be feeding on? How am I going to be paying the bills? How am I going to be getting salary without my own funds suffering? So I factored all these things and I calculated it. I did my feasibility studies, and because when I started full time. So financial factor is a factor that needs to be crossed also, is an order. And that is how I was able to cross it.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. Now, bringing it to immigrants, generally, some of us came in as students, some as a result of WhatsApp insecurity back at home, some as a result of what's it called? As a result of slavery, what we call new slavery today, being transported, traffic, yeah, being trafficked there and things like that. And we'll see what we all go through in this situation at times. Now, from a legal perspective, how will you advise people who have just arrived in this nation?
Thank you, Mr. Shokunbi. I used to tell people, especially because I meet people virtually every day. I see clients every day from all over the world, migrants who have come to UK through different routes, whether as students to claim asylum, migrant workers, spouses of people that are settled in the UK. I meet people from different parts of the world every day because of the nature of practice that I am into. And I used to, after talking to them, I listened to different experiences. There's one thing that is common. People have high expectations and people are seeking for greener pastures. But this is a country of processes. There will be need for perseverance. There will be need for patience. United Kingdom is a country whereby if you are diligent and if you move with the right information, and you are persistent, because you face other orders like discriminatory orders, again, in the course of trying to achieve your goals, especially if you come from the kind of places where we come from, as in if you belong to the minority ethnic people, you will contend with discrimination at one point or the other, whether at your place of work. But just like, just to borrow from the word of, what's the name of this African richest black man in the world, Oprah Winfrey, the best way to go about, I'm talking about discrimination now, is to be excellent in what you are doing. You have to prove that you are very good in the area, whichever career you want to cut in this country. You have to be patient and you have to be persistent. And I can't take this away. As a pastor, you have to be prayerful. So I believe with doggedness, persistence, prayers, and with patience, if you don't lose focus, gradually you'll be getting to where you're going. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yeah. At least you've given that. You've told us now that you have to be focused, you have to be consistent, you have to be persistent, and you have to be prayerful as well. And you have to remain focused. Now, I know there have been cases we've had sometime about students now who say first, maybe whereby a student maybe she's been pregnant before getting here, and whilst studying, it came up, she can't really continue with the study, and then some schools are saying, they have to report to the immigration and take, how do we handle such situations?
Thank you very much. I think I've handled few of cases like this that you just mentioned. It's not the fault of the colleges or universities. It is the condition of their Tier 4 sponsorship license, which place monitoring of students under their care within their remit. They have a duty to report to the Home Office if there is material change of circumstances of any student that they have given sponsorship, Tier 4 sponsorship certificate to. For example, the example that you mentioned now, the student becomes pregnant in the course of his academic career, and she can't attend lectures. Home Office has a duty to report to the Home Office. I mean, universities or college, they have duties to report to the Home Office because there are 1 or 2 universities in the UK before that their Tier 4 sponsorship license have been seized, have been suspended for not complying with the terms and conditions in which under which their Tier 4 sponsorship license was issued to them. So it's not the fault of the university. They are only trying to avoid the situation whereby trying to help a student might jeopardize other students that they want to sponsor. And you and I know that they are making millions of pounds from students. So if any student find themselves in such situation, I think what they should do, because there are okay, let me refer to cases that I've handled in the past. There is this student from Elliott University that has this similar situation, was pregnant, and they asked her to return back to Nigeria. Incidentally, she's a Nigerian, and I was contacted. She asked to have, I provided all medical reports, evidence that she could not attend classes. So as a result of that, it's not our fault. She had everything documented. What they deal with in this country and what we work with is evidence. But the problem is that majority of our people, because of where we are coming from, we like to do things orally. We like to do things off record. We don't keep record. We don't put things down on documents. We don't go to our GP. Even if you have headache and stuff like that, we like to do self-medication. And when it comes to Home Office, you need to come with facts coupled with figures. You need to present your fact with evidence. So when we got evidence from the GP that, look, she's not even able to travel back to Nigeria. So you can't suspend. I mean, you can't stop a visa running from Elliott University. And we said that would be discrimination based on, what do they call it?
Equality, right?
Yeah, Equality Act 2010. Equality Act. So that on the basis of sex, that she became pregnant. Only women can become pregnant. So based on discriminatory attitude of the university, so the university got advice from the Home Office, and they said, okay, with the angle with which these people are going, we are going to be guilty of Equality Act. So they allow her to come back after she delivered the baby, and now she's trying to regularize her state. I think like 3 occasions like that we've dealt with incident like that, and we've been able to make the universities to see the reason that they must not suspend the Tier 4 student visa for those people, and that's how we are able to go around that. But people in that category must have medical evidence, medical reports, to justify the reason why it has to bypass why the university has to, exercise discretion in their favor.
Okay. Right. That's a good one. And I think people are listening now and they are getting that evidence is important when it comes to the issue of immigration. And I know a lot of people have faced, even I myself, I've gone through that process as well. But the other thing is that, okay, talking about those who seek asylum. Now, how can they get their case properly? In that, okay, I'll give an example. Maybe that will help to clarify. So someone came here because of the insecurity in his or her country, got here trying to seek asylum to be able to stay here as a refugee and things like that. However, the situation on ground, how will you advise this person? I don't know if you get my question there.
Well, I think that is a general question. If I get you well, Mr. Shokunbi, people coming from their country, fleeing persecution,
yeah,
coming to United Kingdom to seek asylum, they must get their facts, their acts right.
Okay.
By the grace of God, I've done well over, in my career here, I will have done more than 2,500 cases since 2012 when I started, about 10 years ago now. So I've seen all manner of cases. Where I start from is this. When you want to claim asylum, when somebody is fleeing persecution from their country, they must claim asylum at the airport. It's very important, but people don't know. They must claim asylum at the airport and hand over their passport. But you see, agents, those who are not in immigration business, those who are not immigration lawyers, who are not immigration experts, they will say, don't hand over your passport. If they want to remove you, it will be easier for you, for UKBA to remove you. Fine, it's true. But it is counterproductive also. If you don't claim asylum at the airport and submit your passport, from there, what the immigration rule says is, don't believe them. An asylum is about believing you, whether what you say is true or not. So 50%, you stand the risk of your case being refused. If you claim it at the port of entry, you submit your passport, they believe that you are a credible person. And from there, what the immigration rule says is start believing what he says is a credible person. So everything that has advantage has disadvantages. So you have to choose between not believing your case, saying that what people don't understand is this. People that are going to interview you for asylum, that's what they do at the Home Office. They are interviewing, let me say, averagely about 200 people a day. They've had like 150 of them saying, I just came, I lost my passport, I tore my passport, I came in last week, I lost my passport. He has had it over and over again. He doesn't believe you. You think he's stupid. That's the only thing he does. So if you hand over your passport, he will believe you. They will start believing you from there. And they'll believe, if you claim asylum at the airport, they believe that you are actually fleeing persecution from where you are coming from. That you have not had the benefit of entering United Kingdom. You have not been coached. You have not been tutored by anybody. And the reason why they refuse asylum can be broken down into like 4 or 5 categories. Credibility is the main thing. Will they believe what you understand what I'm saying? Credibility plays the highest role. Number 2 is, have you explored in your country before you left your country? Have you explored relocating to another place? They'll give you option of internal relocation. They call it option of internal relocation. That if you say they are persecuting you, for instance, in Nigeria, where I came from in Ogun State, have you tried Sokoto State? Have you tried Oyo State? And one thing people should know, for instance, is those who are going to interview them, they shouldn't see the people interview them, even though they are white, as being white. They know everything about the country from where those claimants are coming from. That's their job. So they should have it at the back of their mind that they know it to the extent of the politician in their country. They should have it at the back of their mind. They shouldn't over-exaggerate. Because they will tell you, your state has a population of 5 million people. To remember that everything is on Google now. They will tell you that the governor of your state is this. They don't do this in your state. And they will quote their sources for you. So you should have it, people should have it at the back of their mind that the people they are dealing with, there's something they do every 3 months, they call it country of origin information report. All the British Council in each nation of the world, they read their newspaper every day, and they produce a paper called Country of Origin Information Report about that particular country. Remember, about a month ago, they brought out in the Country of Origin Information Report for Nigeria, they brought out IPOB matters. And they said that if people can justify being member of IPOB and they can prove it that they are of high profile, they should be giving them asylum. Before they withdrew it, they knew everything. They will tell you about Kano. They will tell you about wherever. They will tell you what is happening in Imo State, for instance, in Nigeria. What happened today? Because they are reading all our papers. You can't hide anything from them. So people should have it at the back of their mind that the person that is sitting in front of them, interview them, know the situation in their country more than them. They shouldn't tell any lie that cannot be proved. I don't know whether I answer it.
Yeah, you've done this.
So when I see people making mistake, I say, no, look. See? For instance, if you are fleeing Nigeria, you said, okay, they want to circumcise your children. You are claiming asylum because of FGM. The person that is interviewing you has interviewed in his career thousands of people. He has had different stories. He has had similar stories. He knows the approach of Edo people. He knows the problem. He knows the approach of the Hausas to FGM, for instance. They will back it up with relevant publications, journals, everything. The fact that the person interviewing you is smiling doesn't mean that he's taking everything hook, line, and sinker. He knows more than you. So you have to be reasonable. You don't have to hyperbolize. You don't have to exaggerate. You have to like package your case in line with the objective evidence. We call it objective evidence. So
right. No, that's a good one. The explanation is very, very clear there with what you said there. But from that, one thing I've just picked up and which I want to further ask you about is, in terms of the way, and this will be, I know you also deal with human rights. So in terms of human right now, coming to the children of migrants in this nation, some are from the Muslim home, some are from the Christian home, and different beliefs. And we know in Scotland there are some things now happening in Scotland which are backed by the law, but then sometimes against our belief. How do we manage this, especially in the minority ethnic group?
Thank you, Mr. Shokunbi, but I want you to I don't really understand the question very well. Are you talking about children of migrants who have been taken by social workers?
Yes.
Scotland.
Yes. Because we've had many cases of this. In fact, I remember a situation of a family when I can't remember. Maybe it was about 5 years ago or 6 years ago when there was an earthquake in some part of Italy, and this family came to Scotland. I don't know what happened, and then before you knew what was happening, the children were taken away, and it was even time for these children to go back to Italy, and it wasn't happening. So how do we handle cases like this?
Thank you very much. To begin with, it falls outside my remit of training. It's an area that I want to go into. The problem, I still explained to someone today that came to my office. If you're a lawyer in Nigeria, few lawyers specialize. Few. I only specialize here. I'm only trained as immigration, employment, human rights, and human rights that has to do with immigration.
Okay.
Employment, discrimination, and human rights law. If I want to do children panel hearing, for instance, I can do it, but I don't want to be jack of all trade and master of none. I want to be jack of one or two trade and master it very well.
Yeah.
I will have to employ someone in that area. I know about the case, Mr. Shokunbi, but the starting point is this. I sympathize with a lot of people, with a lot of our people who are going through this problem. It can be traumatizing and very devastating experience for someone, children to be taken away by social worker. And in some cases, there are aspects of discrimination. One thing that is causing problem on few instances that I've come across with, that people have approached me for help, is there's a common denominator in most of them before I refer them to people that can assist them. And the common denominator is cultural differences. Cultural differences.
Okay.
Where we came from in Africa, we schooled our children. If a child is doing the wrong thing, when we're growing up, our parents will scold us, will punish us. And there is no rule that says that children in this country should not be punished also. What they are saying is that you shouldn't flog your children. Children can be put on timeout. They do that in schools as well. Mm-hmm. But culturally, because of where we came from, when we find ourselves in Rome, because we should try and do like Romans.
Okay.
But people that are in that category, my advice for them is that they should seek legal assistance as soon as possible. They shouldn't try to undo it in African way or in the way that we minority ethnic community, we don't like going to court. We don't like challenging, especially African. We don't like anything that will involve litigation, that will involve legal matter. We always run for it. Whether you have immigration documentation, if you don't have immigration documentation, if you are suffering this category of, if you are suffering this type of problem, you need to contact a family law solicitor that are doing children panel hearing, who can fight for you. Don't try and undo it yourself. Please, no one should try and settle it amicably. There are similar experiences that have immigration I've dealt with. I have this person who came from one of the West African countries. His partner, who is British, didn't allow him to see his baby. And it is on the strength of this child that his immigration status will be regularized. The sheriff court is saying that, look, you impregnated someone, you are not responsible, we are not going to allow you to have contact. You want to use this to get paper. And this person has given this British girlfriend of him about $4,000 in the past. I mean, at different instances. And they are saying that he wasn't responsible. I mean, he was not a responsible father. But thank God, he was able to keep track. He has evidence. He has documentary evidence. He was given some by cash. Family and friends from his country were sending money to the baby, to the mother, to the baby mama. Permit me to use that word. So on the strength of that, we presented all these to the solicitor. So he was able to, I was the one that advised him to seek help from a family law solicitor who can help him to get contact. He was trying to do it amicably for months until he got help. So I think I'm digressing, but what I will say is, but today we're able to get immigration paper for him because he was able to solve his family matter. He tried to do it amicably before, but it got him nowhere. So I think the starting point is, may God not let any parent find himself or herself in such situation, or if by one reason or the other, anyone find himself in such situation, he should seek legal help immediately. He shouldn't try to deal with the social worker himself or herself directly. He should get help from a lawyer. I think we put to check the excesses of some social worker.
Okay.
Tend to be discriminatory on some occasions.
Okay.
That's
Right. Good. So people listening at home, we're still on the Nigerian Pride, and we've been speaking to Solicitor Olawale Olabanji of DMO Solicitors. So, sir,
Mr. Shokubi, there's nothing like solicitor barrister.
okay.
Like appellation in Nigeria, we call it barrister. So I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, Mr.
Yeah.
Olawale. So let's move to. I just want us to touch on employment before we call it a day on this. So we've seen many from the ethnic minorities suffer different things at their place of work. Different kind of like maybe a manager saying to someone from our community, or when will you have a sunbake, or things like that. How should we be handling such situations at the place of work, even when we have reported it? They said they've done an investigation and nothing came out of it. How do we tackle this problem?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shokumbi. There's one common denominator in everything that I've been saying, and it's very common and peculiar to African, because that's the tribe where I came from anyway. I'm an African, proud Nigerian. We like to do things off record. We like to do things orally. We like to do things, I don't know whether it's not our culture. And I'll give you like 2 case studies of what I've handled in the past. And permit me to digress to let people know. May you not find yourself in such a situation where your children will be taken and you don't have immigration status. Don't say because you don't have immigration status, you won't go to a family solicitor. People that have problem in the area of immigration, they tend to live a low profile life. They wouldn't want to challenge anything. No, they won't take you back home. I can tell you that. Even the fact that you have a litigation ongoing is a basis for you to ask for discretionary leave to remain from the Home Office so that you can pursue your case to be allowed to stay in this country. So don't run underground. Challenge them. Challenge any discriminatory act. Get a solicitor to do that for you. So, I'm talking about children being taken away from parents. Likewise, in place of employment. I'll give you an example. I've got over £5,000 for someone who doesn't have a paper, who was working in the UK in the past, who was discriminated against by our employer. But he had evidences, he had documents to back it up. If your employer or your superior or your manager, someone that is above you, is treating you less favorably than other people based on your race, your nationality, your color, sexual orientation, based on your religion, there are 9 protected characteristics under Equality Act 2010 that if people are treating you less favorably under that category, you have the right, if you have proof, to go to employment tribunal and ask for redress. But most of the time, people do things orally and people don't have evidence. And when it comes to tribunal or to court, it is evidence-based. So my advice would be keep trail of your emails. Keep documents. When you talk verbally, reduce it to email. Further to our discussion, 3 o'clock today, I said this, you said this. Whether the person responds or replies to your email is immaterial. You are gathering evidence. I hope you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Shokunbi.
Yes,
but
sir.
We've seen a lot of instances whereby people will come to you and say, and you know genuinely, these are what people have gone through. Oh, my employer did this, he did this, he did that, he said this to me. So where is the proof? When you get to tribunal, it's going to be your word against their words. But if you reduce it down to writing, or you write and, for instance, you do it by recorded delivery, you have proof that you wrote something, you have a copy, you have recorded delivery, you can track it that it was received. It was received. These are building evidences and justifying it. But most of the reason why some employment cases fall like pack of card is because people don't have evidence. So evidence is very important.
Yeah. I think so far from all the way we've heard today, evidences are very, very key in everything we do in this land. And as you've said it, I think it's something we from the African community need to come out of. We like discussing all things orally and then we leave it there. But it's good to document it. Just, summarize it in an email, confirm, and then whether the person confirms or not, like you said, it's there in evidence.
You go to your present items.
Yeah.
You said this today at 2 p.m. in the presence of XYZ.
And I know, and what I would just say to those listening to us out there, whether you're a student, whether you're an asylum seeker, a refugee, or even if you're an employer, you are even settled from the ethnic minority, you should understand that you should be keeping records of things happening. Whether something happened at work today, you can always go home and send an email to your boss about it and get it on. We've been talking today about surviving as an immigrant in Scotland, and we've been speaking to Mr. Olawale Olabamiji of DMO Solicitors. So finally, sir, I'm going to ask a question. How did this pastora came in?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shokunbi. Pastora, you don't train to become a pastor. You are called by God and given specific assignments. Pastora is a calling. It's not a career. It's not what you can aspire to do. But when you submit to divine leading, if God wants you to do his assignment, if God has a specific assignment for you, then he can call you. So along the line, God called me and gave me a specific task of starting a work which is prayer-based. And we thank God we've been seeing tremendous miracles, testimonies of people being freed through the instrumentality of prayer. So it's not what I wanted to do. It's not what I planned to do. It's what God called me to do. So
yeah, I just received a question now, just from someone listening, and why is it that many, especially from the African community, today we have many just saying, oh, they are starting their own ministry, and at the end of the day, sometimes we check that, oh, it's just to get their papers.
To get their papers.
Yeah, like their immigration status, maybe to get the minister of religion, and then their partner can do other work while they are focusing on things like that, or maybe through starting a charity or something like that.
Okay.
The mission.
Well, I can only speak for myself. I don't really know about that. But by the special grace of God, I was fortunate. As I said, my own route, I was a beneficiary of Tier 2, post-study work, which ended in 2012. So before it ended, I prayed to God, because the option would have been for me to go and do PhD in law. And as at that time, I've qualified as Solicitor of England and Wales, Solicitor of Scotland. But if by that time I didn't see any employer that can sponsor me, I will have either go and do PhD or go back to Nigeria or find another route. But on my own, God was so gracious to me. I was able to get my last employer. They sponsored me for 5 years. So, as I said, I can only speak for myself, but I don't know about others. So I didn't came into ministry because I wanted to extend my leave to remain. So I don't know whether people do that.
Okay.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. Well, I believe the person who sent the question has been able to get an answer. The last but not the least, so what would be your final advice to members of the ethnic minority community, especially those of African background?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shokumbi. Yeah. My advice is, especially from people from African background, we should be patient. We should be persistent. This is a country of process. It's not a country of abracadabra. We should have God factor, because if you have God factor, you will know that he that is for you is more than those that are against you. As an ethnic minority people, you will confront discrimination. Nobody is going to believe in you. You have to be excellent in what you are doing. If you are excellent in what you are doing, there is no limit to what you can attain in this country. So perseverance, patience, focus, and to bear in mind that this is a country of process. It won't happen in a day. There are hurdles to clear. There are barriers to surmount. But if you have God and you have determination, Scotland is a virgin land. The world is waiting to hear about you. So go out there, start your business. I've given you example of my own. We are 3.5 years right now, by God's grace. You need to plan. Before the business that you want to start, we start giving you money. You need to have a backup. I told you an example of my own backup now. I gave myself like 9 months. The majority of what I'm going to be doing will not translate to money until like 9 months. When I finish at 5, what am I going to be eating? Have backup. Know that Rome was not built in a day. And try to follow the process. Grow up so that you can stay up. Don't go up. If you go up, you will come down immediately. It's a process. When you see a tree growing up, that tree will never come down. But when you see a ball go up, trying to circumvent the process, it will come down. So with God, believe in yourself. Nobody knew Obama would be able to do it. But he has a slogan. He had a slogan. We can. Nobody's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And please, in the process, this is for my African brethren. When entrepreneurs are out there, we should also go and influence our community, like our Asian counterparts are doing. Join politics. If you have financial power, financial empowerment, you need to be involved in community building. Without political power, even with financial empowerment, you will not have your say in policy making. That's my advice for our people. And thank you very much, Mr. Shokunbi.
Thank you very much for that. I like the way you summed it up there. So people, you've been listening to the Nigerian Pride today from the stables of Diaspora Radio International. Surviving as an immigrant in Scotland. You need to be patient because it is a process-driven society. You need to be persistent. You need to be focused. You need to be determined. Remember also the God factor in it. Be excellent at what you do. And also, remember, Rome was not built in a day. And I would say just what Mr. Olawale said there. He said, grow up, stay up. Don't go up. If you go up, you will come down. On that note, I want to wish all our Muslim brethren happy Eid victory today. To my producer as well, Ibrahim Aleshinoya and his family, to Zainab as well, and all others out there who are my friends and who are from the Muslim community. Happy Eid to every one of you. And to everyone in the ethnic minority community, please don't suffer in silence. Speak out, seek legal aid, seek legal advice, regardless of your immigration circumstances or status. And let's keep it up. Let's be involved to get included, like I always say. And you've heard what our guest said. If you have the financial will, use it to help your community. If you're an entrepreneur, use it to help your community. Community development is important for us. If we want to be part of, if we want to make impact in policy making and implementation. On that note, I would like to say a big thank you to our guest for sacrificing his time. He's a very, very busy man. We've been trying to bring him on for the past 6 months, but finally we got him on this time. And we hope we'll be able to bring him on again sometime in future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shokunbi.
Thank you, sir. So on that note, everyone, thank you for today. Next week is another time. Let us keep it a date then. Until then, goodbye.